Sorry.
(5:30), call the board, meeting to order. A little issue with Kelsey. There he is. He got in. Okay. Hey, Kelsey,
So, Cassie.
hold on. Are you muted or?
No, don't unmute him. I like him that way.
Okay. My bad.
We gotta quit talking about it now.
We just called a meeting to order. It's at 5:30. Board members are in attendance. Kelsey Brown's joining by Teams. He is out of the area today. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion. I second.
3. and 8. Minutes from March 13th. I believe everybody had a chance to read them in the email. Pass them around just to sign off on. Kelsey, when you're back in town, swing by and get your packet and just sign them. Good. Thank you, sir. Stuff in our packet today.
It's some of it just,
Some of it's just FYI stuff. Okay.
you want,
Yes, please. Eddie
I'll second.
made a motion to approve the minutes, and Drew,
Second.
second.
Yeah.
Eddie. No old business to attend to. New business. Have one registration to be reviewed due to a felony conviction. A nice city.
the little one.
Hey. I know the feeling.
You never- I'm breaking. I want to finish that. Have to do so.
Yeah, I saw this.
So I was doing them.
Yep. Oh, excuse me. Read it. Okay. No, I was just showing you the agenda. No. That's fine. We'll get to you.
Or not. Yeah, and skip right.
There's the font's a little different this week.
Yeah.
Really?
Depends on how I feel when I do it, maybe.
What? I wondered what happened to him. He used to be one foot through every now and then.
Yeah.
He went to school too. We should be sure that they made some sure that.
Alright, so. A motion on the registration. Be reviewed. Discussion,
Viewed it.
yeah,
To be denied.
to do not.
It didn't like, oh. Well, Kelsey says the
I'll
name
show you
of
the
that.
name.
Show you the name of it.
Probably all you.
It is Kelsey.
Can you see it?
It's wrinkled up, John.
Here, no, I'm gonna give you this.
Yeah.
I'll give you this one.
Yeah.
Huey would be.
Yeah. So a motion for, on the review for a denial,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Dree and Debbie. All those in favor, aye. So moved. Registration denied. All right, next item is a notification of any late absentees received.
The blue sticky is where her list is on the report. Showing that I'd accepted it late because it was late. Just so y'all would know.
Can you say the name? Or you want to just look at
We
it?
just- we don't have to, because
Just-
it was received when,
March.
it was received March 20th. That's like 2 weeks after election day.
We can look at the name. Okay, she's got it marked with a sticky. I mean, with it.
And there's a stamp there for February 27th. But there's no reason that it should not have taken almost a month to get here. So did it get lost somewhere?
That's when we got it.
Yeah,
That's why.
you can't tell. I can't tell. That's,
Zip code starts with 4.
that postmark
Year
is not very
fifty-nine.
good.
Well, it depends on where she was when she mailed it, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what it was.
It's too bad. She really thought she had it mailed way in time.
well, fast, but, can't make out that. And you know what, I mean, looking at it with the way it went through their, whatever post office it went to, that she mailed it from. The problem was, it got stamped wrong, the way that stamp is.
They didn't cancel the stamp.
It didn't go up here, so it got shifted. It most likely got shifted into something else. And I can't.
So it's not her error, it's their error.
So you can't even tell where it came from.
Maybe.
Looks like it,
ME.
His zip code starts, looks like with a 4.
yeah, and ME is,
That's
Yeah.
me. That's me.
but because of the way it was done, because it's supposed to be up here. So, that's, I'll show it to you a little bit here. So the postmark. Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why. Yeah. I'll show it to you. Can you see the name there? Yeah.
Is that something, Mr. John, you think I should make photocopies of that and send them to Steve Simos at the state, this absentee specialist, to see if there's an issue with the postal service that needs to be addressed before the general election?
It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I would send, something up there and let them, address that, because one of the things with the absentee voting is the- if it's postmarked in time, it should be accepted,
Right,
right? But if it takes 3 weeks to get here, and literally, it shouldn't take that long to get here. Whether you mailing it from Maine or Alaska or Hawaii, or, drop it in the mail in Australia. It shouldn't take 3 weeks to get here.
But you have to send them the service.
I used to mail letters to a friend of mine that lived in Alaska, and I was here in North Carolina. I'd mail it on Monday, she'd have it on Wednesday, and I'd get a letter back on Friday.
That's Alaska's in the US,
Yeah.
US state.
And when she moved to Germany, it was about 8 days turnaround.
It looks like this came from Maine.
So, but yeah, most of the ones that are overseas are email, but this is stateside. And like I said, the reason that's the way it is, why it took so long is because when the post office ran it through their machine, they stamped it
y'all are more than welcome.
at the bottom and
Look
not
at the
where it needed to be.
envelope.
So you can't even see it. So it probably just got kicked to the side until somebody finally picked it up and actually looked at it.
Actually saw a cancellation down
So
below.
there's no motion
No,
needed, just I will take care of sending that to Steve, just to make him aware.
yeah.
Okay, just in case there's something.
Okay, next item for discussion is the summer conference, which is August 9th through the 11th in Greensboro.
Yep, I just wanted to know basically who was gonna go. Don and I are planning on driving back and forth. We're not gonna get rooms or anything.
Right,
How expensive is it if you don't stay? Cause I'm only.
Well, I have to pay, and I emailed, Jessica last week to see what the registration fee was, and she does not know yet. She said it's coming soon. And, but the registration fee doesn't change,
no,
just your room rate.
Yeah.
You would be added to the fee or whatever. So the registration fee would stay the same. And normally it's 100 or so a piece, something like that. I'm totally guessing on that, but I mean,
I've already got it.
John.
I will not be
you're
going.
not going, okay.
I will. I will.
Teddy, all right,
I'm a maybe.
all right.
Kelsey.
Okay, that's all I needed to know, just so I'll be able to,
Okay,
know.
And where did it say it was? I know
it's at the Sheridan in Greensboro,
at the convention center.
the one right there on Hopkins Road by the mall.
Yeah, we can,
I don't remember what they call it anymore.
Used to be correct.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, next item, review/discussion of incident reports from election day and the phone calls. Few years ago, we started, our first true board meeting after an election was to kind of do a what went good, what went bad kind of review. I guess that's what this is gonna be tonight.
yeah, I think
So-
in December it's like that, but this is like a more of a deeper type thing, just to let y'all know. Started this
So-
month.
I'll let you take over where you're at. Which one you want to start with? You got two attachments.
Okay, the phone calls, if you want to review those, at your leisure, that's fine. There's nothing alarming occurred during the phone. And I like doing that, so y'all are aware of the phone calls, so I'm aware, and in training, if there's a fixable situation that I can let, precinct officials know of,
Mhm.
I can cover that in training. It helps me remember what happened, because sometimes it can be a blur.
Okay,
The incident report summary, I have all of the incident reports right here. And I, like it says, summarized them. So, again, there's just a few on here. The first two, Bisco, Mount Gilead, is where they, just forgot to write the number on the, ATV forms. And then Troy, this is when the elderly gentleman came and hung out in the precinct for a while, and Karen called me and I told her she needed to request that he leave if he was not voting.
And
when I-
lonely or? was he friendly?
It was when I called her back to make sure she had done that, the conversation went from, what are your names? Oh, you're from Germany. That's a German name. I know somebody in Germany. He went through a diet with them and family
Just hanging out.
members, and it was just very,
Hanging out.
very odd. So, I made the phone call to the sheriff to let him know, and I let him know I've got 3 older ladies that are working the precinct. They're leaving after dark. It was dark at the time the gentleman came. And he was gonna have someone, just kind of cruise through to make sure, they were in their cars safely. And then, of course, printers and things dying. Secure sealed ballot envelope got secured incorrectly. A candidate situation on February 17th where Dolan called the office and complained about one of his opponents having a table set up with balloons and things near the door, and Donnie went outside and confirmed that the table was more than 50 feet from the entrance to the polling place. And so that was explained to him. He wasn't happy about that, but it was fine. And of course, on the 19th was when the flash grenade was thrown at early voting location in Moore County. And I spoke to our chair and contacted local law enforcement, and those changes were made. And steps are there. February 20th, that was big. When a early voting site closes, we have flash drives that we take and download the voter history from the day. They bring these flash drives to me every night. I verify if there are 52 ATV forms they're turning in, that there are 52 voters on that flash drive. It's very important that these numbers match. When Troy brought in their flash drive, there was nothing on it. So we called her back, and Donna went with Karen to the precinct to upload it again. When they went to upload it, there was an error code that said there's nothing to upload. It's gone. So they came back to the office and let me know that. And at the time I was thinking the flash drive was bad. These were all new flash drives. I was not reusing anything. So the next morning I went back to the precinct to kind of see what had occurred, and I've never needed this. Is because reason why I've never seen it before was a retransfer button.
Mhm.
So Karen and I did the retransfer and it transferred. And when I got back to the office, I uploaded those the voters, I went through each one of them. They matched all the ATV forms. They were correct. And then I uploaded everything, went back to the precinct, and we did a transfer to that machine and then checked the voters. They were all there. So everything was fixed. But that was just crazy because I had the transfer successful sheet that comes out of the printer after you transfer. It says transfer successful, but yet they were not there. So just very thankful that got resolved.
So how would you have resolved that if the retransfer didn't?
I would have probably had to have the
resubmit them?
state assist me in opening voter history for all of those voters that had voted the day before. It had nothing to do with the ballots.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with how
Just the-
people voted.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
just
just the history
The
in the
history
machine.
in the machine of the voter history,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Ballots was not at an issue. It's just the log of who.
Them checking in.
Yeah.
Tom Jones checked in, but I couldn't send him, and therefore he wouldn't have been on the laptops at the other
Gotcha.
early voting sites and things like that.
Oh,
I had a plan. It was going to be a little bit of
Send a list.
work in progress, but everything was fine. And now we know how to fix that. So
Yeah.
that's good. The next one is Bisco. Chief Judge Donnie Juarez reported that a campaigner was outside. Of course, this is after the flash grenade incident. The campaigner noticed a suspicious vehicle through the parking lot and with the driver's window down, and looked as if they had something in their hand. Once they rounded a car, from what they said, and saw the patrol vehicle that Bisco had sat in the front, they sped up and drove around the back of the building, came around and exited the parking lot. And Donnie wisely told her to go report that to Bisco Police Department right next door, and she did. And Larry's asked me to follow up on that just to make sure as they looked at surveillance videos if they saw anything. So I will do that. I made a note. Next one, early voting site in Troy. Kim Boss called our office. She stated that she went and voted, that everyone was very nice, but they did not ask her to state her name. So of course I called the chief judge right away, and she knew exactly what had happened, and she said she would take care of that. Next one is a couple days after the election, Steve Hare, a candidate, called and just wanted us to look at Cheeks Creek precinct to see if the no campaigning beyond this point area is marked correctly.
Mhm.
He had a campaigner that was working there, Doug Blake, and he was not able to speak or approach voters at that location. And then they were going to make some adjustments, and the chief judge did not want them to make adjustments as far as moving the line or whatever. I think it's always been where it has
It's,
been.
it's 50 feet from the front door.
Yeah. So,
And if parking wise, if they park right at the front door, I mean, there's lots of
You can't
instances
get to
where
them.
you can't campaign there.
right. It's
I mean,
difficult,
that's just, that's kind of the way it is.
right?
There's been Bisco, before we moved the door to the other end, literally they're 50 foot from the front door. Miss Kay's been out there, and I know Kelsey was out there at one time years ago. You're 50 foot down there and 50 foot down there. I don't have to see you. I walk right past you,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, the law's the law. We can't just say, well, you can't park in this area because we want to be able to campaign.
This sounds like it got pretty personal though. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna make a phone call to the chief judge there just to make sure she understands her comments that were made that were unnecessary. And also, I will be reaching out during training to correct these thoughts
Yeah.
too with chief judges as well.
When I run Little River, and Miss Debbie can attest to this, if the people that don't want to be hit up because we keep them across the street,
Right,
they'll pull in the driveway, and I mean, you can't get up to them. I mean, that's
Right.
the way it is.
yeah, you go to the side door instead of going around the front thing.
Yeah.
Reverends are kind of particular about approaching.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, URI precinct, Susan Emmons called me and she just enjoyed the group she worked with. She did mention that the oil furnace smelled strong there. But she said it's always been like that. They had to use it. It was cold, so it's always smelled that way. But then you see quite some days later, Kim Boss called and she does not want to work at URI. She would rather be in El Dorado. She said the smell of the oil furnace gave her a headache.
She was really sick.
And she was really had a hard time with it. And so there's an incident report for that. Moving on to election day morning things. That's a password issue. I think that was a precinct official problem. Let's see here. Bisco. There's an incident report. We were on the way to Rocky and Donnie called. None of the laptops would let them use vote, and I had no idea what was happening, but I had all my equipment with me to make the changes and make the updates and do what I needed to do. And as Dale and I got there, we walked in and John Beard had started his computer again and it was working. So Renee started hers and it was working. So we hung out till Donnie started hers to make sure it was working. And then
Could it be a
Rocky,
time thing?
sir.
Could it have been a time thing? The time's off on the computer?
No, it's that, and that was one of the things I told them in training because it happened during the municipal election in Bisco. The ribbon across the top, everything's grayed,
Mhm.
which means you can't use any of it.
Right.
And so I had to go and uninstall and reinstall in Bisco during the municipal. But it was one of the training things I did with them, letting them know, first thing I want you to do is make sure you have a Bisco computer if you're in Bisco precinct, and then make sure your ribbon has color to it. Because if it does not, there's an issue.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if it's the time or not,
Mhm.
but we're going to hopefully get new laptops and be able to not have that issue anymore. Rocky Springs, of course, incident report, printer 2, it was printing this thick black streak down the side. Dale started cleaning the, barrel on that. I ended up, the next computer wouldn't work. A Jack from IT had to remote into that laptop to reinstall the driver twice and finally got it to working. And, then once Dale cleaned the barrel on the one, it just quit printing altogether. It wouldn't print anything. So we brought it back here. And on the way out the door, Candor calls and their DS200 has stopped calculating. So we came back to the office. John was here and I had a discussion with him as far as my idea of what to do was to send Candor a new head and install that for them, let them reinsert all of the 14 ballots at the time. I think it was 17 by the time they got down there. And ensure that all the numbers were correct and everything was fine with that. He agreed. And then Dale finished cleaning the barrel on the printer. And once he cleaned it and plugged it in back there, it just came right on and all the ATV forms that had been manual just spit out. So he was able to return all of those. They stapled them to the manual ATVs and everything was good there. And then the one I want to discuss at length is the El Dorado situation. I had received the incident report here. The process for an emergency that I had to share with many precincts that morning because of the computers and the printers going down and causing issues is they have an emergency book. It's very thick and it's full of labels of each and every voter. If you do not have a laptop sitting in front of you with a printer, it's okay. You're going to be able to vote that day. You're going to tell me your name. I'm going to find your label. We're going to get a blank ATV form. We'll stick it on that ATV form. You will verify the information is correct. You'll sign it. You'll move right straight to ballot, get your ballot, and you will go vote today. It's not a problem.
Old school.
There was, yes,
It used to work.
there was, yeah, that's how it was when I first started. But there were many precincts that I had to go through this process with. We trained that way. So that morning I told them, just pull out your emergency book and go through the emergency process until I can get there to take care of whatever the issue is, right? So in El Dorado, they had an unaffiliated voter come to vote and Kim Walker checked him in and she voted him as he told her he wanted a Democrat ballot. During training, I have told them, if you have an unaffiliated voter, they come in, they say they want the Democrat ballot, ask them, have you seen the Democrat ballot? Have you seen the Republican ballot? Before you mark the choice. And he said he wanted the Democrat ballot. Well, I don't know what happened, but for some reason he really wanted the Republican ballot. What they're supposed to do at this point is they're supposed to get a provisional. That's a provisional vote to give them their correct ballot. Okay. What this precinct did was, having experience that morning with the emergency labels, they chose to get a blank ATV form and take the emergency label for that voter and put it on that ATV form. And then they circled Republican. Okay. This is a screenshot of their voter record, their voter history. It says he voted. Hang on. Right one. It says he voted Democrat. Wait a minute. His voter history initially showed Democrat. So what I have to do once I investigated and figured out what they had done, why they did it that way, I do not know because they knew the process. I have to send a letter to the state requesting them that they open the record so that I can make the changes and make it a Republican ballot. So his voter history shows a Republican ballot. That's what his voter history shows, is that he voted a Republican ballot in the March election. So that is what I wanted to go over with y'all. This will definitely be addressed in training, that is not the way to make a change. That's a sneaky way to make a change. That if I didn't know, if I wasn't able to figure out what they had done, this voter would not be listed as voting
The right
ballot.
Right.
Yeah,
Even though
it would have added up.
it would. I mean, he voted, he cast one ballot.
Yeah, you guess what about.
However,
Well, he didn't put it in the machine.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
He cast the ballot that he wanted to,
So you had to destroy the Democrat
but
ballot?
he never did it.
He probably saw it and said, oh, I don't want the Democrat ballot. I want the Republican ballot. Take this back and give me the Republican. And then they're in a panic, which they know it's a provisional ballot at this point because you've already chosen.
And like most folks, they don't ever go and look at their voter history. But he probably would have, and been like, I didn't vote Democrat this time, I voted Republican. Why is it showing that?
Right.
And if they didn't do what they did do, you wouldn't have known it. We
Right.
wouldn't have known it.
Right. And
But if they'd have done it the proper way,
he would have shown the Republican because it would have been a provisional.
yep.
But, I don't know, that was just a situation.
So that's a learning thing that needs to be covered again with everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And the part that, is aggravating is that we've never gone over in the detail that I've given them of the emergency process before.
Mhm.
And thank the Lord I did because they all needed it that day.
Mhm.
It was evident, but they used it for what it was not intended for. In order to make somebody get what they wanted. And they were told time and time again, because I've been there. When you see you don't want your ballot, it's a provisional. I can't just swap ballots out. I've already hit that you've taken this ballot. Your voter history is there. It's that. And so, it's not unusual for us to ask the state to unlock voter history for a voter to make these corrections. That's not unusual. That's why it's a process. That's why it's available there to use it for that. And this was a perfect situation, to have it corrected, because this gentleman, if he's ever looking or desires to go there, like John said, they can get very upset about it. But it's corrected now, and I wanted y'all to be aware of all the things that were involved with that, because just looking at that incident report, you do not get that is what happened.
Mhm.
I look at my voter history before every election.
Okay, but
I just always have.
I never have. I need to do that, make sure it's all done right.
I mean,
I do about once a year.
And
Okay.
it'll tell you how long you've been voting.
Yeah.
You read through it.
And then, the next one is just a provisional ballot got put in the machine by mistake for a curbside voter. Candor, this one, I was able to take care of as well. I don't have all the documentation because it's a normal thing that may occur. Voter was entered in by mistake because it was the son's, had the same name,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. That was taken care of.
A couple of years ago to me.
Yep. In Star, the voter was questioning a voter that was in the precinct, how a voter could vote when they didn't live in town. So Charlotte is a new chief judge. She handled it very well. She explained that he was registered in the Star precinct, possibly not in the town. Therefore, he was able to vote in the Star precinct. There was not a challenge presented or desired. So that wasn't an issue. Mount Gilead, when, and I do have these error sheets, when processing a voter, an error sheet was printed instead of an ATV. The manual ATV was completed and the voter voted. And that was, let's see if I have this state. These forms printed out instead of ATVs. It's just one of them things. Let's see here. It's the same thing with Candor, same error sheet type thing come out. Mount Gilead, this was one of the last things on election night. The voter needed to vote a provisional, and when Laura was trying to print the form, she called me. The screen would not minimize, so she could see the vote button. And I had a laptop here. I said, it's down at the right at the corner. You should see the top lip of the button. I'm like, this is not even fair. This is not fair. So I told her to do a manual provisional, because that's another thing we have in the emergency packet are also blank provisional forms. You'll have to manually fill them out, but that's what they're there for. So she took care of that way. And then,
So then in your training, do you train them that when the voter witnesses all this happening, that the judges or the officials keep reassuring the voter, this is okay. Your vote's gonna count.
I have even as someone that was being trained, when Amy was teaching, I would raise my hand and I would say, they don't need to see you sweat.
Right.
Nobody needs to go, you've been removed. No.
Never let them see you.
We're gonna take care of you. You're gonna vote today. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm really adamant about that because that's my heart. I want everybody to have a good voting experience. If there's an issue, we will take care of it. It's gonna be okay. So,
Good job.
thank y'all.
I appreciate it.
Kelsey, you got all these notes, in
There's
your
quiz
packet,
later.
so you can look over. You get back in town, you can pick them up. Anything else?
You want me to read the director's report or just hand it to you?
We'll cover it next month. Yeah, let's go over it again later.
Okay.
Any other business?
Nope.
All right, take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? I'll second.
Debbie. Three. I've got 6:06 PM.
Yeah, I'm talking with you.
Kelsey, hang on just a minute.
Yes.
Good.